Hello, everyone. Thank you for staying late in the afternoon on Friday to listen to this presentation in particular. So my name is Olga, and first of all, I'll briefly tell you about what we do and why I'm speaking on this subject. So our company, it's a startup based in London, and we've created a social media content marketplace. So what we do, we source content from Instagram, Flickr, YouTube, and integrating some other social media at the moment. And then we make it searchable, we index it, and then finally make it licensable to the media person or advertiser or designer. So instead of a photo stock, you can access this content created by people. And as we know it, today there is 1.8 billion social media users, and they create 1.8 billion photos every day that they post on social media. That means 500,000 photos per second. If you think about it, you may see that the whole world, everything that's happening right now in the world can be covered by this content. And yesterday, Spencer was talking about storytelling and visual storytelling, and this content is really something that helps people communicate their story, because it's created also by real people somewhere on Earth in the exact same moment, and it reflects the subject in the eyes of a real person as opposed to, say, commercial photo stock. And the problem of it is, of course, with this size of data, it can certainly be regarded as big data. And then how can we actually analyze it and categorize it and structure it and access it in the end of the day for our work, for our jobs, and for our creativity? And our colleagues from Social Media Visual Lab in London, they have been doing some research on the structure of this data, and they have come up with a theory that unlike traditional media, where content is characterized by the way it is produced, by production, by text that is attached to it, and by the consumption channel, like TV, for example, or other media. Social media content is structured by the source, that is, for example, Instagram or any other channel, that defines how you see this content, in which order you see it, what score it has. The user himself or herself, and their location and their other parameters, personal traits, and then finally the content itself and its metadata. So how can we analyze the source? I'm going to be talking through some tools that help us analyze every of the three structures within social media. Not necessarily we use them in our company. However, we've done some research together with the Visual Social Media Lab, and these are some of the instruments that you may find useful. So one of them is Iconosquare, that analyzes Instagram as a source, and you can see different parameters of Instagram and likes, and it also indexes everything that the Instagram attributes to the content piece. Then another one is Topsy, that is working with Twitter predominantly, so you can see how Twitter treats specific, say, event or specific place on Earth, how Twitter reflects and positions photos of a specific subject within itself. And then when we speak about the user, there is also a number of tools. One of them that we actually do use is Social Bro, where you can find and you can structure users by different categories, such as the numbers of followers and geolocations and what they're interested in and what their profession may be. And you can find specific content by people who follow your criteria or your target group, and also vice versa. You can see for specific content who creates that, mainly on Twitter, but also on other social media as well. And then there is a tool like Olapic that looks into users and categorizes them from a different angle or perspective. So it looks into people, how they consume products and how they follow brands. And it's a B2B platform mainly, so it may be interesting to brands and retailers if there are any people in the auditorium. It finds users that actually shop or follow a specific brand, and then allows you to find content from these specific people and to use it in your work. And then finally, content, and it's mainly characterized by a number of textual and quantitative characteristics, such as hashtags that we all know, locations, coordinates, geographic GPS coordinates, usernames, dates. But the problem is, all of these are textual or quantitative, while the big data we're talking about here is visual. We're talking about images and videos predominantly. So we can't really see what we're looking for. And there are 3 problems in here. So one of them is that exactly that we should visualize this quantitative and textual data that we know about the image. Say, one of the tools, ground signal, is helping us visualize the geographical coordinates. So when we're looking for something visual in Berlin, we will be able to see, or our marketing managers, whoever, will be able to see what textual data the image has on the map, on the visual, in the visual way. But then the second problem is how we analyze visual data, because a lot of value within photography is something that we can't really get from any of those textual and quantitative metadata that it has. And there's been a lot of research recently and discussion, and it was also mentioned yesterday in one of the talks how good the artificial intelligence in image recognition is, how good there's image recognition on the scale that could help us analyze a huge 1.8 billion community. Does it really exist? Can it be helpful for us? And again, Visual Social Media Lab has analyzed some of them, and we've come to a conclusion that actually there are tools that are helpful that can integrate visual data into metadata of the image. So actually to analyze visual data on the big data level that we're talking about. So one of them is Imaga. It can pretty well already now see objects in social media photos, see faces, and even actually both of them, to be honest, Alchemy Image API as well, we've looked into that. They can see as much as the facial expressions. So not only they can see there is a person in the image, but also they can see that there is a sad person in the image or a happy person in the image. And then they can see the business style. They can identify a suit on somebody. Then there is an issue that was mentioned yesterday between when there is a suit, they will be likely saying, based on previous statistics, that it's a man. So we might not be able to find a businesswoman with one of these tools. So we'll be misrepresenting data. But at the same time, they're already at the stage where it can be useful and it can incorporate certain additional information into and help us categorize images online. And then the third problem that actually remains unsolved to date is scoring and sorting this content based on both the textual and quantitative data that we have about it and the visual information that we can analyze. And we'll also be working on this next year in our company, and a lot of other people are trying to do that from different perspectives, but still, at the time, there is no tool for you and I, for us, to see if we're looking for a man in a suit in Berlin, to actually get the images categorized and sorted and scored to the extent where we will see exactly the best examples, the best scored examples where we can see a suit, a man, and where we can also say that we can also rate the user, we can also rate the source, and we can receive exactly the data that we need for our work, and that we can use straight away. We will still spend a lot of time browsing through these different platforms and trying to do a multi-step process. And very often we will still miss a lot of visual data that we could get. So this is something yet to come. And finally, the problem with social media content or online visual content is its IP. And if at Lobster we always know where the IP is, or we think we do know because we source it from from a specific Instagram user or specific Flickr user, overall online IP is a piece of metadata that's also very much unstructured, and you never know who the owner is, and you never know what the rights are, and you never know how you can actually or cannot use it, and how you can license it. And to solve this, the non-profit organization has been created in the UK, where we're based. It's called the Copyright Hub, and it's supported by the UK IP Minister. There is a role such as IP Minister in the UK. And what they are doing is they're trying to analyze different IP identifiers within different pieces of content, from music to photography and to videos, and some more innovative pieces of content that people tend to post online, like panoramas or 3D files. And then they're trying to show you, once you browse and you search, you use one of those platforms to find something, then you can also, as the next step, find where the IP belongs. And then you can potentially do something with it, such as reach out to a person. And this is something that we collaborate with them on, and something where we actually provide the next step for licensing for yet a limited number of platforms. And thank you. This is it.